Welcome to the Sparky Coach podcast. This platform was built by Sparkies for Sparkies. We simply exist to make business owners more profitable, or businesses more profitable and more predictable. So we want to work with people that work hard because we love working hard too, that work smart because you got to be on top of the business, people that are kind because no one likes a dickhead. Am I right? People who want results because that's what we're here for, right? And people who want to be part of a like-minded community. So if you're interested in hearing more about the platform, please reach out and enjoy the podcast.
Sparky Coach podcast. Got Cam here. Got a Sunday school session with my passion in the admin area. And today's little topic is around purchase orders. Now, hopefully some of you are using purchase orders. I know some of you are not. I know some of you have tried and some of you may not know what they are at all or how they apply or how to use them. I want to go into a little bit of in-depth around purchase orders and how they will help your business and how they will help your administration. And I'm going to say that they're probably going to be a game changer. And hopefully by the end of this, you are of the thought that I must use POs and I need to use POs to just make a difference within my business. So what is a purchase order, you may ask? For those of you who don't know, a purchase order, you've been asked for it, no doubt, at the wholesaler if none of you if you're not using them or you don't know what they are. But a purchase order is essentially a number or a numerical makeup with maybe some letters and something in there, but it has some connection to your job or to the job that you are ordering the material for. So it has a link, so it can be linked. So it is identifiable in that particular pathway. So depending on how they're made up and how they're used, so if a PO is generated, it generally is a purchase order number is generated by a job management system. That purchase order number is linked to the particular job that you are ordering the materials for. And then that way it stays linked to that job. So then the materials are assigned to that particular job. Now, it creates a real level of accountability, essentially. In short, it also creates a real level of being able to be monitored and measured against a particular job. Where do those materials belong? So the common issues without POs is you have missed costs. So it's like you just don't know where to assign those particular materials that were purchased. They just completely miss full stop, as in we just forgot about them. Quite simply, forgotten about. They prevent material blowout, so as in purchasing the same item multiple times for the job that may already be organised. It can also alleviate invoice disputes. The easiest way to describe this is, let's just say you have an account with a supplier, and by accident, say your business name is similar, or it just comes up when they search for it, one above, one below, and they just tap on your account by accident for someone else who's buying something at a different branch or a different location. Could be the same branch, it doesn't really matter, but they go in, buy something, and it ends up on your account. Now, if you don't have a purchase order associated with that, just could be, Smith Street, for example, there's a small chance that you don't pick it up. It just goes through. So there's an opportunity lost there, and it's more money on your account. The ability to understand where material is being purchased from, what it's being assigned to, which in turn can clog any profit leaks. So all the materials are being accounted for, and then it just creates a level of organization and structure within your business as well. So if you don't use purchase orders, by the end of this, you will be using purchase orders. I promise that. So purchase orders, how do they get used is a question that I get asked quite commonly. But the other one is when do they apply, or how do they get used, or when should I use them? So I'm going to give you a really simple breakdown here. I'm going to give you a bit of an overview. So there's 4 ways here that we can use purchase orders. So you're purchasing materials for jobs. So that's the first and foremost one. The second one is you're purchasing tools and equipment for the business. The third one is you're purchasing operational related items. And then the fourth one is you're using contractors and or subcontractors. So they're the 4 main areas that you're using, that you're purchasing for your business in, right? So purchase orders. So for material related to jobs. So any material that you have for a job that is job related. So all the materials and supplies that are purchased from suppliers to be installed on a job must have a purchase order generated and assigned. That's the easiest way to think about in your business. If you have that assigned, a purchase order created for jobs, then it allows for those materials to be signed to a particular job. Easiest way to generate a purchase order, you may ask, is you generate your purchase order through your job management software. We can dive into job management software a little bit deeper later on, but that's how you do it. You go about it generating it in your job management software. So you can create POs against the specific job to ensure that that material can be allocated to the job that it's used on. Generally speaking, with job management software, this will happen automatically and it'll flow through on a back end sense. So POs can also be raised in your job management software just for a stock order. So order of material that's not going to be necessarily assigned to a specific job, but is just bought as stock as well, so it can be supplied. You can use POs regardless of whether your supplier, whether you have a cash or credit account with them. It generally gives you the option to do it. Now, I would recommend that, touching on a previous podcast that I've done around your supplier setup and a bit of a supplier audit and how you're going around it all, is that if you're using suppliers fairly regularly, you set up credit accounts with them. It just makes it way easier for you. And secondly, it allows you to have a portal to have access to them, and you can keep a paper trail of it all electronically all the time, as opposed to just having to rely on the physical paper version of it all. So purchase orders, purchasing for tools and equipment, it helps you. You can assign POs here as well. So putting tools and equipment purchases into a dedicated tools and equipment account in your accounting software, it's really important for a few reasons. It allows you to have tax-related reasons, and there's also the practical related reasons to it all. So on a tax point of view, there's potential for an immediate deduction or a depreciation depending on the value of the tool or equipment that's purchased. It also helps you with accurate business financial reporting. And what I want to dive in on here is that what occurs a lot of the time with your purchasing of tools and equipment is, more often than not, they'll just end up as supplies and materials on jobs, as opposed to ending up into a dedicated account within your accounting software. For example, utilizing Xero. Now, what this does is ensures that you get the correct deductions and or depreciations, but then also allows you for the correct financial reporting. The other thing is that it also creates a history for you as well. So you can have a history for warranty, servicings, or just general management of your tools and equipment and or assets. Number of ways that you can create POs around that for your tools and equipment. Quite simply, the easiest way to do it is utilize a PO just in your accounting software. So within Xero, you can actually create POs within Xero, and they're unique. You can actually create them yourself also too within there, but they are unique to all the job management software systems that I've seen, that the actual number that comes up is unique, so it's able to be seen really easily and identified. And what happens is, if the PO number is not trackable or readable within the job management software side of things, it ensures that it won't push through on that front. It'll just bounce out there and be sitting as such. So it doesn't go through on the back end of your job management software. It just needs to be sorted on the front end and manually entered. So really important in that sense. So the other things that we're doing with purchasing, or the third, I guess, where our expenses land is operational related items. So items that you use for purchasing, your operated or your operational related expenses. Now, these items are obviously to do with the everyday expenses of the business. Now, things that come to mind is obviously, to do with the vehicles. You've got your fuel, your servicing. You may have stationery supplies, office supplies. You may have some other expenses that you have to do with the office, just general staff supplies as well within the business. These items are items that generally are a bit more controlled, as in you as a business owner probably purchasing or dictating to someone to purchase. These items here, purchasing, generally speaking, won't require a purchase order unless you specifically require it for your business, which can be done as well. And there's a number of ways that you can do it. The most simplistic way, again, is through your account software, but that's up to you whether you want to do it. But the super critical part around it is that you need to ensure that you're collecting this information and you have the ability to action it through keeping the receipts and being able to store it in a way that makes things really, really easy for you. So the thing that I think comes across more often than not is with your purchasing of operational related expenses is there a theme in the operational side of things that you're buying items? Thing that comes to mind most simplistically is fuel. So if you're buying a lot of fuel, do you need to have a look at consolidating it all and using a fuel card of some sorts? The other thing maybe is that, hey, we're buying office supplies really regularly. Can I create an account with a online online, as in, can I create an online portal to be able to create a history of your purchases? And I think this is really important. I really want to touch on this, and I know I bang on about it a lot, is that a lot of the time that we go through things is that we lose our receipts and we lose track of where our expenses are and who's buying things and what they're buying for. So the more online accounts that you can have, or online portals that you can have, they may still be in a cash account, like in the sense you may have a credit card linked to them, or you may need to pay on checkout or something like that. But what it does is it creates a record so you can go back and see what your history is you're purchasing that's being associated with it all. I think also too, what comes to mind here is one thing that we prevent and start to become highlighted by having a look in this is we avoid our staff reimbursements. So they become lower and lower and lower. So we decrease our administration requirements, which is, I think, really important. That's what we're trying to achieve here. We're trying to get generally more organized to have less reimbursements across the board. Now, the other purchasing that you'll have is related to contractors and subcontractors. Now, these can be done in a purchase order, or if you're using Simpro specifically, they get done through a work order. But whatever you're doing, however you go about it, making sure that you're issuing some sort of work order, purchase order, or something, so there's a record so that you can come back on it all. And know that what it's assigned to. Now, this becomes particularly relevant across the board as your business grows a little bit. And I mean, like, it doesn't have to be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people. I'm talking just a handful, because spending can get out of control really, really quickly. And you want to make sure that you're understanding where it's going. So essentially what a purchase order is, and what it isn't, I guess, as in a way, but what it is simple. Simply put, is it's a number or an identification of letters and or numbers that essentially gives the authority or pre-approval to purchase those items from that particular supplier, and then in turn that number that's being provided or alphanumerical number that's being sorted is authorization and link back to where it belongs, or who it came from is really important. So the difference though is a purchase order is not an invoice. A purchase order will be attached on the invoice. So that number will identify that particular tax invoice, and then that tax invoice can be receipted against that particular purchase order. They matter 100%. A lot, even if a common response is that, but I trust my team, and I'm not so much in here about a trust sense. It's more about a tracking sense, and a bit of a rant at the moment or lately, or a bit of a tangent, I suppose, around the administration side of things is I think far too many of us are the main cog in the whole system, and we are the blockage. And so we're causing all the problems. And by not removing ourselves from the main blockage, we're actually not relieving ourselves of any of the issues that were occurring within our business. So the PO matters because it makes administrationally things a lot easier. Now, if you're using a job management system, and I'll use Simpro and Fergus, for example, here, and I know others do it, ServiceMate also do it as well, but in a simplistic sense, the purchase order number will be linked to the job that you've purchased the items to. So what I mean by this is, hey, we've got a job, we're doing some electrical works associated with it all. The job value is $10,000. We're there for a few days, and we need a few $1,000s of material. Now, if we buy that material through our job management software like Simpro or Fergus, we assign the PO number to that particular order that we've gotten from Heyman's, for example, or C&W, for example. That material will then, once it's gone through the correct channels and receipted through our job management system, and bearing in mind that our suppliers like Heyman's and like C&W have the ability to link on the back end and push through those tax invoices and automatically read and receipt the purchase orders, that material ends up on the job. So if we're doing it in a cost plus sense, we don't have to continually remember all the items that we've used on the job, or if we've quoted it, we can purchase the material that we need and then it ends up on the job. So it allows us to provide some accurate costings associated with the job. So it's not so much of it as a trust, but as in it reduces the amount of admin that you need. It protects your profitability, plain and simple at the end of the day, and it makes things easy. Like it honestly makes things a lot easier. So like I said, purchasing materials for the job, it's a non-negotiable. They have to have a purchase order, regardless of the scope of work, the type of work, or anything like that. So it's not as if it's a project job. It's not if it's a service and maintenance job. It doesn't matter if it's domestic or residential. It doesn't matter if commercial or industrial, whatever. It just if you're buying materials, it needs a PO. So the why for that is it creates a blanket rule, simple for everyone involved, and then all the materials end up in the right location. Now, when do you need to use it in regards to a labor, material, or versus hire sort of sense? We touched on it previously before. So if you're in the instances that you, depending on the job management software that you're using, you want to assign every type of purchase that you're doing. So whether it is for labor, whether it is for materials, or whether it is for hire equipment, is that generally speaking, depending on what job management system you're using is how it'll go. So I'll touch on it in Simpro sense here. In Simpro, if it's going to be labor that you're using for the job, it's going to be through a work order. If it involves labor and hire equipment, it'll be through a work order. If it is just materials or just hire equipment, you would be putting it through as a purchase order only. So different ways to have a look at it. happy to delve into that more and more if someone wants to discuss it specifically. But there's a difference between a work order and a difference between a purchase order. Easiest way to think of it is there a person involved? If there's a person involved, so if there's some type of labor involved, it needs to be a work order first and foremost. How you can set up your purchase order. So basically speaking, it just runs through your job management software. So if you create your job management system and you have the turned on within your job management software, the purchasing will occur. Now, there will be a little bit of training involved for your team. Very, very simple, very easy to use. You have the ability to have some options in regards to how you operate your business. So you do have the ability to give access controls to people to be like, hey, yes, you do, and you don't have access to that particular ability to do purchase orders. You also have the ability to set spending limits. You also have the ability to set suppliers. So there's lots of different levels of access that you have the ability to do. And so basically who can raise POs and who can approve them it allows you to give that ability through your job management system. So this is what I really like, and I have touched on it already, is that purchase orders give you the ability to match your supplier invoices to the PO, so they get receipted or received against that particular supplier invoice. So then the materials have the ability to be automatically assigned to that particular job. So it takes the guesswork out of what material did we use or how much did we use of it all. And then it gives the ability to cross-check against job cards to be like, hey, was there anything that we didn't use? Credit notes can be raised as well. So if items do need to be returned, it gives you the ability to return items, and then those items can be removed from the job so that they don't get billed out or they're not assigned to the job if the job is quoted. So it really does give you a lot of flexibility and a lot of control in regards to the pricing of your job, in regards to, hey, what are the actual costs associated with the job? It also gives you the ability to accurately understand where the cost of the job is sitting. It also gives you the ability to accurately understand the cost when it is a quota job. Also gives you the ability to understand where the costs are in an ongoing basis. So, hey, how much did we buy this week? How much did we spend this week, this month, this quarter, whatever it is, depending on the size of the job? It also allows you for ongoing jobs to be able to capture everything in a weekly sense. So, hey, or a daily sense. Hey, these are all the orders that we raised this day or this week because they're dated. Hey, here's the cost associated with it. Here's the labor associated with it. So it really helps with any progress claims or any ongoing communication with your clients, which is really, really important and really underrated. So you're not sifting through things in the middle, late in the evening, looking at Smith Street and there's 4 jobs on Smith Street and they make no sense to you at all, right? So takes away the guesswork, allows someone else who is of a non-technical sense, so someone working in an administration sense, they're just looking at X's and O's, numbers basically, 1, 2, 3, 4, or alphanumeric numbers as well. So it gives you the ability to just look at it in a snapshot sense. They're not worried about what particular PowerPoint was used or how much cable was used or whatever it is. It gives you the ability to have a look at it in a really, really simplistic way and be like, hey, this number here, purchase order number, matches with the generated purchase order number, which is assigned to this job number. Here's the supplier bill. Yes, all those items line up. Yep, bang, it's approved, and it moves on from there. So it gives you the ability to get clean and get organized with where things are being assigned. Takes the guesswork out of it. It stops the leaking boat. So the leaking materials that get missed, that get overlooked, that we don't know where they were. We don't know where they were assigned. Did we get charged someone else's material from another account? We don't know, right? Because you don't have a system in place with the purchasing side of things. So some things that often occur though when you're using purchase orders is creating POs after the fact, right? Which can become a problem. Creating POs just and assigning them as stock. So while, yes, it can be done, I strongly encourage you where you can, you assign a PO to a job. And if you're going to a supplier, or you're using a supplier and you need to order, 10 different things for 5 different jobs, raise 5 different purchase orders. In the instant, it may seem like really easy to order those 10 items, right? But long-term administration-wise, it creates a lot of hard work because then you've got to undo everything. So just create a PO for each of the 10 jobs that you're going to. Other common mistakes that you come across that can cause some issues is not closing or reviewing completed purchase orders consistently. So understanding, hey, are these items on back orders? Was that PO made by mistake? Has that PO been fully received and or receipted? Or have we got an issue with what's going on? So not reviewing them. Now, I really want to encourage you, if you're not using POs, to sit down and have a look at it and how you can integrate it into your business or how you can implement it. If you already have a job management system, really, really simple to do. You basically just got to start enacting on it and start using it. It makes life that easier. Where possible, I strongly encourage you to use a job management software that links with your main suppliers. So if you're purchasing a lot from a particular few electrical wholesalers, you want to make sure that it integrates well. It will save you hours and hours and hours. And not only that, in time, it will save you money from missed items that haven't been put on invoices or haven't been captured to be billed out. So in summary of it all, if you don't tell your money where it's allowed to go, it will disappear on its own. So if you're not using POs or you're half using POs, strongly encourage you, get around purchasing, get around purchase orders, right? Make it a part of your business, get organized, get the integrations occurring to make your life really, really easy. May seem like a drag in the beginning, creates a whole level of accountability and responsibility for your business, for everyone involved, and it makes things really easy on the back end. It helps you get organized, and in turn, I guarantee it will help you become more profitable as well. So get out there, get involved. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're up to, stay safe out there. And thanks for tuning in as always. Cheers.
That's a wrap on another podcast. Whatever you're doing, don't be too busy to stop and check if you're making money. And above all else, you know the rules, be kind. See you soon.